The emergency lights of the Grand Council chamber pulsed a deep crimson, casting long shadows across the worried faces of the assembled representatives. It was the first time in 800 cycles that the emergency protocol had been activated. 53 species, each from different corners of the galaxy, gathered in a tense semicircle. Ambassador Zorix of the Valerian Collective rubbed his 4 upper appendages together nervously. The situation was dire. The Voidborn had consumed another 3 star systems in the past month alone. Their black ships moved like a virus through space, leaving nothing but dead worlds and scattered debris. The Proxima system fell yesterday, announced High Chancellor Kerr, her translucent skin flashing with distress patterns. 16 billion souls. Gone. A murmur rippled through the chamber. The Voidborn were no longer a distant threat. They were an extinction-level event happening in real time. Our combined fleets have proven ineffective, said Admiral Pax, the reptilian military leader of the Craxus Federation. Their technology adapts too quickly to our weapons. We need something different. Ambassador Zorix stepped forward, causing several nearby representatives to shift uncomfortably. The Valerians were known for their extreme, sometimes reckless solutions. There is one option we haven't considered, Zorix said, his voice quiet but clear. A species we quarantined precisely because they terrified us all. The chamber fell silent. No, whispered Chancellor Kerr. You cannot possibly mean the humans, Zorix confirmed. We need the humans. The room erupted. Some representatives shouted protests, others hurried to exit, and a few simply stood frozen in shock. Order, bellowed Admiral Pax, slamming his tail against the floor. Let him speak. Zorix activated the central holographic display. An image of a blue-green planet appeared, rotating slowly. Earth, he said. Quarantined 73 cycles ago after first contact. Remember why? Of course they remembered. The stories were told to frighten young ones throughout the galaxy. Humans were the only species ever encountered that had nearly destroyed themselves, multiple times yet continued to advance. They had split the atom for weapons before achieving unified planetary government. They had created artificial intelligence without ethical safeguards. Most terrifying of all, they had weaponized everything they touched. The quarantine was our decision, not theirs, Zorix continued. Their military capabilities were primitive compared to ours, but their thinking... He shuddered. Their strategic thinking was unlike anything we had encountered. They were barbaric, hissed a Medusan representative. They were survivors, corrected Zorix. And they understood concepts that we find abhorrent, but that might be necessary now. Concepts like preemptive strikes, mutually assured destruction, psychological warfare. Admiral Pax stepped forward. The quarantine monitors report continued advancement within their solar system. They've colonized their nearby planets. Their weapons technology has likely advanced as well. We're considering inviting barbarians to help us? Asked Chancellor Kerr. What if they're worse than the Voidborn? Zorix's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. The humans fight to protect, not to consume. The Voidborn leave nothing alive. This is our choice. Commander Lara of the Diplomatic Corps stood. I monitored Earth for 15 cycles. I studied their history, their wars, their peace. They are dangerous, yes, but not evil. Not like the Voidborn. A vote was called. The chamber was divided, but fear of extinction proved stronger than fear of humans. By a narrow margin, the Galactic Council authorized a diplomatic mission to Earth. As the representatives filed out, Admiral Pax approached Zorix. I hope you understand what you've done today, he said quietly. If the humans agree to help us, the galaxy will never be the same. Zorix watched the hologram of Earth rotating peacefully. If they don't help us, he replied, there won't be a galaxy left to change. 3 days later, a diplomatic vessel prepared to jump beyond the quarantine boundary. Among its crew was Commander Lara, who had volunteered immediately. As the only council member who had studied humans extensively, she would be their primary contact. As the ship's engines hummed to life, Lara reviewed her notes on human customs and language. She focused particularly on a phrase humans used often in their literature and history. Desperate times, she whispered to herself. Call for desperate measures. The ship disappeared into the void, carrying with it the galaxy's last hope. The diplomatic vessel emerged from jump space at the edge of the Sol system. Commander Lara felt her hearts racing as the blue-white dot of Earth appeared on the main view screen. Send the greeting message, she ordered. All frequencies, all languages we have on record. Minutes passed in tense silence. The crew watched their sensors carefully. According to their intelligence, humans had established defense platforms throughout their solar system during the 73 cycles of quarantine. Movement detected, reported the sensor officer. Multiple vessels approaching from the fourth planet. Lara adjusted her translator. The quarantine had been strictly enforced. No communication, no trade. These would be the first words exchanged with humans in over 7 decades. Attention, unidentified vessel, came a calm voice over the comm system. This is Commander Alan West of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are in restricted space. Identify yourself immediately. Lara stepped forward. Commander West, I am Commander Lara of the Galactic Council. We come with urgent business and request permission to send a delegation to Earth. There was a long pause. The Galactic Council, West repeated. The same council that quarantined us without trial and threatened destruction if we ventured beyond Mars. That council? Lara winced. Yes, Commander. The same council that now desperately needs your help. Another pause, then a short laugh. Well, isn't that something? Hold position. I'm sending an escort. Any deviation from their course will be considered hostile. 6 human ships appeared on sensors, sleek and threatening. Lara noticed they were not the primitive vessels of 73 cycles ago. These were advanced warships with weapon systems her sensors couldn't even identify. The journey to Earth took 4 hours. Lara spent the time reviewing her notes on human diplomatic protocols. When they finally reached Earth orbit, a small shuttle was dispatched to bring the delegation to the surface. Earth's defense headquarters was a massive underground complex beneath what humans called the Rocky Mountains. Commander West met them personally, accompanied by several military officials and a woman introduced as Dr. Susan Grant, Earth's leading xenobiologist. So, West said after brief introductions, you quarantine us for over 70 years, and now you want our help. This should be interesting. Lara gestured to the data tablet she had brought. May I show you something, Commander? West nodded, and Lara projected a hologram showing the path of destruction left by the Voidborn. Entire star systems reduced to lifeless husks. Billions dead. Dozens of species extinct. This enemy calls themselves the Voidborn, Lara explained. They consume all organic matter and use it to replicate. They adapt to all weapons we use against them. In 3 years, they have destroyed 27 star systems. Dr. Grant leaned forward, studying the images of the Voidborn ships. Fascinating. They appear to have a hive structure. Our projections show they will reach your solar system in approximately 15 months, Lara continued. The quarantine cannot protect you. Nothing we have can stop them. Commander West's face remained impassive. And you think we can? We know how your species thinks, Lara said carefully. How you fight. Throughout your history, you have excelled at warfare in ways that disturb other species. West exchanged glances with his colleagues. You're afraid of us, but you need us. Yes, Lara admitted. A slow smile spread across West's face. Well, then we should introduce you to Captain Diane Murphy. She heads our Special Warfare Division. Before we agree to anything, interrupted another human named Jack Peterson, we want the quarantine lifted. Completely. Lara hesitated. The Council authorized me to negotiate those terms, but I must warn you, some members fear humanity more than they fear the Voidborn. They should, said Captain Murphy, speaking for the first time. The tall woman stepped forward, her eyes intense. But the difference is, we don't want to destroy you. We just want to be left alone to develop in our own way. Now, Tell us everything you know about these Voidborn. Leave nothing out. As Lara began her detailed briefing, she noticed the humans exchanging confident looks. They weren't frightened by the images that had terrified the council. Instead, they looked almost eager. For the first time since the Voidborn appeared, Lara felt a glimmer of hope. The main war room of Earth's defense headquarters buzzed with activity. 3 days had passed since the alien delegation arrived, and humans wasted no time preparing. Large screens displayed Voidborn ship designs and attack patterns as teams of military strategists analyzed weaknesses. Captain Diane Murphy stood at the center of the room, directing the operation with calm efficiency. Next to her, Commander Lara watched with a mixture of awe and unease. Your species mobilizes for war. Very quickly, Lara observed. Murphy nodded without looking up from her tablet. We've had plenty of practice. On the far side of the room, Dr. Susan Grant worked with a team of scientists examining samples of Voidborn technology Lara had brought. Their progress was remarkable. The Voidborn ships have an organic component, Dr. Grant announced, approaching the central table. They're partly grown, not just built. That's why they adapt so quickly. Commander West joined them, carrying fresh coffee. So we're basically fighting a giant space virus? More like a colony organism, Dr. Grant corrected. But your comparison isn't far off. And like viruses, they have weaknesses. Murphy's eyes lit up. Fire, then. High heat. Lara tilted her head in confusion. We've used plasma weapons against them. They adapted. Not plasma, West explained. Something more primitive, thermonuclear. Lara's translator struggled with the concept until a nearby scientist helped. They mean atomic weapons, fission and fusion bombs. Prohibited weapons under galactic law, Lara gasped. Murphy laughed. Good thing we never signed those laws. The humans continued their planning. Lara sent daily updates to the council, who responded with increasing alarm at human methods. By the end of the week, a delegation of council representatives arrived to observe firsthand. Ambassador Zorix led the group, accompanied by Admiral Pax and 4 other species representatives. They arrived just as the humans were conducting a demonstration. This is a small-scale test, explained Jack Peterson, now revealed as Earth's weapons chief. Stand behind the safety line, please. On a screen they watched as a drone released a tiny object toward a sample of Voidborn material Lara had provided. The flash was blinding, and when the view cleared, nothing remained of the sample. Complete molecular disassembly, Peterson said, proudly. The radiation after-effect also prevents regrowth for approximately 60 hours. Admiral Pax stepped forward. You propose to use these weapons in space? Near inhabited worlds? Of course not, Commander West replied. This is just one tool. We're developing a multi-layered approach. He gestured to another station where engineers worked on small, deadly-looking drones. These are autonomous hunter-killers. They identify Voidborn material and target it specifically. And this, Murphy added, revealing a hologram of a massive ship under construction in Earth orbit, is the Dreadnought, our first purpose-built anti-Voidborn battleship. The alien delegates exchanged worried glances. You've built all this in 3 days? Asked a Medusan representative. We modified existing designs, West explained. We've been preparing for war, since you quarantined us, just not this specific war. That evening, the council delegates met privately. They are more advanced than we anticipated, Admiral Pax said, and more aggressive. They are our only hope, Zorix countered. Did you see the test results? Nothing we have comes close to that effectiveness. Lara listened silently. She had spent enough time with humans to see beyond their warlike exterior. During a tour of the facility, she had noticed photos of families in the officers' quarters. Even Murphy, the fiercest of them, kept a child's drawing pinned inside her uniform jacket. They fight because they love, Lara said suddenly. Everything they do, all this terrible weaponry, it's to protect what they care about. Does that make them less dangerous? Asked Admiral Pax. No, Lara admitted. It makes them more effective. They will do anything to win. And right now, that's exactly what we need. Outside the meeting room, Captain Murphy listened at the door and smiled. Phase 1 of humanity's return to the stars was proceeding. The bridge of the dreadnought hummed with activity as Commander West settled into the captain's chair. 2 weeks of intensive preparation had led to this moment, the first direct confrontation with the Voidborn. Reports indicated a small scouting force had entered the Proxima system, giving humans their first chance to test their theories in actual combat. "All systems ready, sir," reported Lieutenant Steve Rogers, the weapons officer. "Hunter-killer drones deployed in a defensive screen." "Cloak status?" West asked, holding steady. "The Voidborn shouldn't detect us until we're right on top of them." The cloaking technology had been a surprise to the Council delegates. Humanity had developed it during their isolation, violating at least 3 galactic treaties in the process. Admiral Pack stood at the back of the bridge watching with a mixture of hope and dread. "Remember," West told his crew, "we're testing theories today. Hit and run only. No heroics." Captain Murphy, commanding the smaller attack vessel Valkyrie, appeared on the comm screen. "We're in position, Commander. Ready when you are." "Begin approach," West ordered. "Let's see what these Voidborn are made of." The dreadnought moved silently toward the small cluster of Voidborn scouts. 5 black, irregular ships moved through the debris field that had once been a thriving mining colony. They appeared to be absorbing the remaining metals and minerals. "Firing solution ready," Lieutenant Rogers reported. "Hunter-killers tracking." "Fire," West commanded. Dozens of small drones shot from the dreadnought, streaking toward the Voidborn ships. Each carried a miniaturized nuclear warhead designed to detonate on contact with the specific biological signatures of Voidborn technology. The first explosions caught the Voidborn completely by surprise. 2 of their ships were torn apart immediately. The others began rapid evasive maneuvers, but the hunter-killers followed relentlessly. "They're adapting," called the sensor officer. "Hunter-killers losing lock on targets 3 and 4. West nodded, as if he'd expected this. "Murphy, you're up." The Valkyrie decloaked behind the remaining Voidborn ships. Its weapons were different. Not nuclear, but something even the Council delegates hadn't been shown yet. Beams of intense blue light lanced out, slicing through the Voidborn vessels. Where the beams touched, the strange organic metal material simply disintegrated. "Quantum disruption working perfectly," Murphy reported, satisfaction evident in her voice. "They can't adapt to having their molecular bonds severed." Within minutes, the battle was over. 5 Voidborn ships destroyed with minimal damage to the human vessels. Commander Lara stared at the tactical display in disbelief. "These were just scouts," she said quietly. "The main Voidborn fleets are much larger." "Of course," West agreed. "This was just a test run, but now we know our weapons work." Admiral Pax approached the command station. "Your methods are effective, Commander. But there's something that concerns me." "Just one thing?" West asked, with a hint of humor. "You seem to have anticipated exactly how the Voidborn would adapt, almost as if you'd encountered this type of enemy before." A silence fell over the bridge. West and Murphy exchanged glances. "Let's just say," Murphy replied carefully, "that humanity has been preparing for threats from beyond our solar system for a very long time." Back on Earth, Dr. Grant was examining the battle data when Jack Peterson entered her lab. "The Council delegates are getting suspicious," he warned. Grant nodded. "They should be. We've been a bit too good at this. Should we tell them about the Harbinger incident?" Peterson asked. "Not yet," Grant decided. "First, let's cement our position as their saviors. Once the immediate Voidborn threat is neutralized, then we can discuss historical matters." Peterson glanced at a secure door at the back of the lab. Behind it lay evidence of humanity's first secret contact with an alien species, one that had occurred decades before the Galactic Council's arrival. "The Council thinks they're using us," he said quietly. "They have no idea we've been waiting for this opportunity." Dr. Grant smiled. "Patience, Jack. First we save the galaxy. Then, we take our rightful place in it." News of the successful engagement against the Voidborn spread quickly through the Galactic Council. Videos of the battle showed human weapons tearing through enemies that had previously seemed unstoppable. Hope began to replace fear among many species. Ambassador Zorix addressed an emergency session of the full council, with Commander West and Captain Murphy attending as special guests. The human military has proven their effectiveness, Zorix announced. They have destroyed a void-born scouting party without losses. Cheers erupted from many delegates, but not all. The representative from the Medusan Confederation rose. And at what cost, he demanded. They used weapons banned under galactic law, nuclear devices, quantum disruptors. What else will they unleash? Murphy stepped forward, her uniform crisp and imposing. With respect, Counselor, we never signed your laws, and your laws didn't stop the Voidborn from killing billions. The humans are right, Admiral Pax interjected. Their methods may disturb us, but they work. The debate raged for hours until alarms suddenly blared throughout the council chamber. A massive Voidborn fleet had been detected approaching the Arcturus system, home to over 12 billion sentient beings. This is no scouting party, Commander Lara reported grimly. This is a full invasion force. Commander West activated his comm unit. This is West. Deploy Operation Thunderbolt. All ships, immediate launch. Within minutes, the emergency session transformed into a war room. The human delegation revealed they had already positioned their fleet near Arcturus, anticipating the Voidborn's next target. How did you know? Ambassador Zorix asked West privately. Simple pattern analysis, West replied. The Voidborn consume resources in a predictable sequence. Arcturus has rich mineral deposits similar to their previous targets. On the main display, they watched as 30 human warships engaged the Voidborn fleet. The battle was far more intense than the previous skirmish. Human weapons worked initially, but the Voidborn quickly began adapting. They're learning, Murphy observed, just as we expected. She opened a secure channel to the dreadnought. Deploy Phase 2. The council members watched in shock as the human ships suddenly released thousands of smaller objects toward the Voidborn fleet. What are those? Admiral Pax asked. We call them Fireflies, Murphy explained. Microscopic robots programmed to infiltrate Voidborn ships and disrupt them from within. The tiny machines swarmed over the enemy vessels, boring through hulls and attacking the organic components. Voidborn ships began to drift, systems failing. Now for the finishing touch, West said calmly. He gave another order to the fleet. The human ships pulled back as one of their vessels moved forward. It was smaller than the others, appearing almost fragile. Preparing for singularity deployment, reported a voice over the comm. Singularity? Gasped a council member. They wouldn't dare. The small ship launched a single projectile toward the center of the disabled Voidborn fleet. When it detonated, it created a temporary black hole. The gravitational forces tore the enemy ships apart, pulling their remains into nothingness before collapsing in on itself. Stunned silence filled the council chamber. The Arcturus system is saved, West announced. But we lost 3 ships and 200 crew members. The quiet admission of losses shocked the council delegates almost as much as the black hole weapon. Many had assumed humans saw war as merely a game of technology. Later, in a private meeting room, Commander Lara found Captain Murphy staring at a list of the fallen crew. I didn't expect humans to mourn, Lara admitted. Murphy looked up, her eyes hard. We're not the monsters you think. We are. We fight because we must, not because we enjoy it. Then why develop such terrible weapons? Because, Murphy said softly, long before you found us, we learned a painful truth about the universe. It's not kind to gentle species. As if to confirm, her words, new alarm sounded. The main Voidborn fleet had changed course. They were now heading directly toward Earth. They've identified the source of their greatest threat, West said, entering the room. They're coming for us. Murphy stood, her brief moment of reflection over. Good. Let them come to our territory. We've been preparing the Sol system for war since before your council was formed. The Sol system buzzed with frantic activity. Civilian ships evacuated the outer colonies, rushing toward Earth and Mars. Military vessels moved in the opposite direction, forming defensive lines at strategic points. The Voidborn fleet would arrive in less than 24 hours. In a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander West faced the gathered Galactic Council representatives. The mood was tense. "We need to discuss something. You should know before this battle begins," West said gravely. "About humanity's true history." Dr. Grant activated a holographic display showing an ancient star chart. 57 years before your council made contact with Earth, she explained, humanity encountered another alien species. We called them the Harbingers. Images appeared of sleek black ships with organic-looking components. They looked disturbingly similar to Voidborn vessels. "The Harbingers attacked without warning," West continued. "They destroyed our outposts on the Moon and Mars, killed thousands." Admiral Pax leaned forward. "Why were we never told of this?" "Because we destroyed them, completely," Murphy said flatly. "Using methods that would have confirmed your worst fears about us." Ambassador Zorix's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "The Harbingers were Voidborn?" "An advanced scouting party," Grant confirmed. "We believed we had eliminated the threat. We were wrong." West touched the display, showing more images. "When your council found us 16 years later, we were still recovering. We decided to keep this encounter secret. Your quarantine actually helped us prepare without scrutiny." The council members exchanged shocked glances. The humans had been fighting this war long before anyone else knew it existed. "There's more," Murphy said. "The Harbinger encounter taught us something important. The Voidborn aren't just consuming. They're searching." Dr. Grant touched her tablet, and the display changed to show complex mathematical equations. "They're looking for something specific. We believe it's this." The equations resolved into a 3-dimensional model of what appeared to be a strange device. "We call it the Omega Core," Grant explained. "The Harbingers had partial blueprints. We've spent decades trying to understand it." "What does it do?" Lara asked. West's expression darkened. "It can destroy stars." Silence fell over the room. "You built such a weapon?" a Medusan representative asked in horror. "No," West replied. "We never completed it. The ethical implications were too severe, but the Voidborn are trying to build it themselves." Murphy stepped forward. "This is why they target specific star systems in a specific order. They're gathering the rare elements needed for the core." Commander Lara stood up slowly. "If what you say is true, then the Voidborn aren't just consuming for growth. They have a larger plan." "Exactly," West nodded. "They want to trigger a chain reaction of supernovas across this arm of the galaxy. The energy release would fuel their expansion 1,000-fold. "Why tell us this now?" Admiral Pax demanded. "Because," Murphy said, "to stop them completely, we need to do something extreme." She revealed another hologram showing a massive device under construction in Earth orbit. "This is Project Sunforge," she explained. "A weapon designed to follow the Voidborn back to their point of origin and eliminate the threat permanently." Several council members rose in protest, but Ambassador Zorix silenced them with a gesture. "What do you need from us?" he asked quietly. "Your blessing," West replied, "and your help defending Earth long enough for us to complete Sunforge." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared. A junior officer rushed into the room. "Sir." The Voidborn fleet just accelerated dramatically. "New arrival time in 3 hours." West locked eyes with Zorix. "We're out of time for debate. Are you with us?" The ambassador looked around at his fellow council members. They had summoned humanity hoping for salvation. Instead, they found themselves facing an even more terrible choice. "If we refuse," Zorix asked, "what happens?" "Then humanity fights alone," West said simply. "As we've always done," Murphy added softly. "But understand this. We will use Sunforge, with or without your approval. The survival of our species depends on it." The sky above Earth blazed with weapons fire. The Voidborn fleet had arrived in full force. Over 200 ships of varying sizes, all focused on breaking through Earth's defenses. Humanity's combined fleet, alongside hastily assembled Galactic Council ships, formed a desperate barrier around the planet. Shield status? Commander West called from the bridge of the dreadnought. Holding at 60%, Lieutenant Rogers reported. But they're adapting to our defenses faster than expected. West nodded grimly. The Voidborn were learning, evolving their tactics with each passing minute. 3 human destroyers had already been lost, along with 7 Council vessels. Ambassador. Zorix watched from an observation deck, his 4 limbs trembling slightly. The Council had voted, narrowly, to support Project Sunforge, seeing no better alternative. How much longer does Dr. Grant need? Zorix asked. 20 more minutes to complete final calibrations, West replied. Murphy is securing the launch. Sight now. On Earth's surface, Captain Murphy led a squad of soldiers through the Sunforge facility. They had intercepted communication suggesting Voidborn infiltrators had breached the planet's surface. Motion sensors detecting movement in Section C, reported Sergeant Nancy Lee, pointing down a darkened corridor. Murphy raised her weapon. Fall back to defensive positions. No one gets near the control room. From the shadows emerged 3 humanoid figures. They looked almost human, but their movements were wrong, too fluid, too precise. Their skin had a slight metallic sheen. Infiltration units, Murphy whispered. Biological drones. The Voidborn had adapted again, creating units that could pass for human at a distance. Murphy gave a hand signal, and her team opened fire with specialized weapons designed to disrupt the organic-synthetic hybrid material. 1 infiltrator fell immediately. The other 2 moved with blinding speed, closing the distance. Murphy fired repeatedly, taking down a second. The 3rd reached her, its arm transforming into a blade-like appendage. Murphy dodged the first strike, but couldn't avoid the second. The blade sliced across her shoulder. She ignored the pain and pressed her weapon directly against the infiltrator's chest, firing point blank. The creature collapsed, its systems failing. Captain, are you all right? Lee asked, rushing to her side. Murphy examined her wound. It's superficial. Get me to the control room now. In orbit, the battle intensified. The Voidborn had broken through the first defensive line and were approaching Earth. Suddenly, a massive Voidborn ship, at least 3 times larger than any previously seen, emerged from behind the moon. The command vessel, West breathed. Just as we hoped. The plan had been risky. Allow enough Voidborn ships through to draw out their leader, then spring the trap. Admiral Pax had argued against it, but the humans insisted it was their only chance to end the war completely. All ships execute Protocol Omega, West ordered. Draw them toward the Sunforge station. The human fleet began a strategic retreat, making it appear that Earth's defenses were failing. The massive Voidborn command ship followed exactly as planned. In the Sunforge control room, Murphy ignored the medical officer trying to treat her wound. She focused on the main console where Dr. Grant worked frantically. Calibration complete, Grant announced. Sunforge is ready. Murphy opened a direct channel to West. Confirm target acquisition. We have 1 shot at this. Target confirmed, West replied. Command vessel in optimal position, waiting for your signal. On the observation deck, Ambassador Zorix watched with a mixture of hope and dread. What exactly will this weapon do? He asked Commander Lara. They wouldn't say precisely, Lara replied quietly. Only that it would follow the Voidborn back to their origin point through subspace. Murphy took a deep breath and placed her hand on the activation scanner. This is for Earth, for every world they've destroyed, for every world they would destroy next. She pressed down firmly. Sunforge activated. The massive weapon platform in Earth orbit began to glow with impossible energy. A beam of pure white light shot forth, connecting with the Voidborn command ship. Instead of destroying it, the beam seemed to envelop it, creating a strange distortion. In space itself, the command ship attempted to retreat, but it was too late. A rift opened behind it, a tunnel through subspace leading back to the Voidborn's origin point. The Sunforge beam intensified, pushing through the rift. What's happening? Zorix demanded. West's expression was stone. The end of the Voidborn forever. As the energy surged through the rift, a blinding flash erupted from the tunnel, temporarily overloading all sensors. When systems came back online, the Voidborn command ship was gone. So was the rift. And across the solar system, every remaining Voidborn vessel simultaneously went dark. 3 weeks after the Battle of Earth, the Galactic Council held a special session. The Grand Chamber was filled beyond capacity, with representatives from every member species in attendance. At the center stood Commander West, Captain Murphy, and Dr. Grant, still bearing the scars of the conflict. Ambassador Zorix addressed the assembly. Today marks a historic turning point. The Voidborn threat has been eliminated completely. Our long-range scans confirm no Voidborn activity anywhere in known space. Applause filled the chamber. West stepped forward to speak. Project Sunforge did more than merely defeat the Voidborn fleet at Earth, he explained. The weapon created a subspace connection to their origin point, a star system beyond the rim of our galaxy. When the energy pulse reached that location, it triggered a reaction that destroyed their central hive and communication network. How can we be certain they won't return? Asked a skeptical council member. Dr. Grant activated a holographic display. This is live footage from observation posts we've established near former Voidborn territories. Their ships remain inactive, their biomechanical components breaking down without guidance from the central hive. Murphy added, "We've sent teams to study the remains. Within a year, we'll understand their technology well enough to detect any new threats of similar origin." Admiral Pax stood. "The Council owes humanity a debt we cannot repay. You saved not just your world, but all worlds." The room fell silent as Chancellor Kier approached the podium. As the highest-ranking Council official, her words carried special weight. "The quarantine of Earth and the human species is officially and permanently lifted," she announced. Furthermore, humanity is invited to join the Galactic Council as a full member with all rights and privileges. More applause erupted. Commander West nodded respectfully but didn't smile. "We accept your invitation," he said when the noise subsided. "But we have conditions." Murphy handed him a data tablet. "First, humanity will maintain independent control of its military. Second, the prohibition on certain technologies will be revised to allow for legitimate defensive research." Some council members murmured in concern, but Zorix spoke up. "These terms are reasonable. Had humans not developed these prohibited technologies in isolation, we might all be gone now." Chancellor Kier considered briefly. "Agreed, with the understanding that an oversight committee with both human and council representatives will review military applications." West nodded. "Acceptable." Later that evening, West, Murphy, and Grant stood on a balcony overlooking the council capital city. The three had become heroes across the galaxy, their images broadcast on every world. "Do you think we made the right choice with Sunforge?" Grant asked quietly. "The council still doesn't know exactly what it did." Murphy looked up at the stars. "They don't need to know we targeted the Voidborn home star directly. Some things are better left unsaid." West sighed. "We did what was necessary. An entire species wiped out to save countless others. History will judge us." "And what about the remains of the Harbinger ship?" Grant asked. "The one we've kept hidden on Pluto all these years?" "That stays our secret," West replied firmly. "The Council isn't ready to know everything about us yet." On the streets below, humans walked freely among alien species for the first time. Children played together, businesses negotiated deals, and scientists exchanged ideas. The integration had already begun. Commander Lara approached the three humans. "The Chancellor requests your presence. The formal treaty signing begins in an hour." Murphy straightened her uniform. "Let's not keep them waiting." As they walked through the alien city, West noticed how other species moved aside, watching humans with a mixture of respect and lingering fear. "Will they ever truly trust us?" he wondered aloud. Lara considered this. "Trust takes time, but they will never forget what humanity did when called upon." "And what was that?" Grant asked. "You showed that sometimes," Lara said thoughtfully. "The Very qualities that make a species dangerous are the same qualities that make them invaluable. Perhaps that was the lesson we all needed to learn. The galaxy had changed forever. The species that had once been quarantined as too violent and unpredictable had become the saviors of all. And as humanity took its place among the stars, the old saying proved true once more. Desperate times had indeed called for desperate measures.